Hello and welcome, dear one. It's Psychic Cynthia here, Spiritual Psychic Cynthia Killian, and welcome. Today I'd like to talk with you about one of my favorite subjects, the runes. And I'll actually be teaching a new rune class coming up here pretty soon called Rune Intro. And you're invited to join me for those live classes. It's just going to be a quick mini course. So it's only 2 classes. And yes, the classes will be conducted via Zoom so that all of my fellow rune Vitkies and rune seers and rune lovers can join us from anywhere. So what's on my mind today about the runes as I'm preparing to teach this new course, because I love it when I'm getting ready to teach a course, I get to dive back in and think about what new insights that I have had on the runes since the last time I taught a course. And it's been a while since I taught a intro level course, or actually since I've taught anything that wasn't quite advanced. I did teach a rune reader course last November, but that was quite a bit more advanced and challenging. So this has gotten me thinking about it in a different way. And you know, what I'm thinking about now isn't just approaching the runes for you as a rune reader, but working with the runes and opening to their energies as a system of spiritual development, as a system of spiritual awakening. I mean, even if you don't want to be a rune reader, and I know there's many of you who maybe want to utilize the runes for yourself, but you don't really care about necessarily about being a rune reader, or maybe that's, you know, on the back of the agenda for you, but you feel called. You feel called to the runes. I know there are many of you who feel called to the northern path, who feel called to the old gods of Thor and Odin and Freya, and so on. So for those of us who feel called to that ancient northern path, and whatever your background is, by the way, the runes are open to all. You know, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your ethnicity, this is a very specific northern-based system, and yet the powers that underlay it are the powers of creation. The runes are the templates of creation. Each rune, each of the 24 Elder Futhark runes represents a different archetypal energy. No two are exactly alike. Not at all. They're very distinct. And so, in addition to being able to use these for readings, to get specific divination messages, and yes, we'll touch upon that some in the upcoming course, you know, the meanings, right? This is also a system of patterns for understanding your awakening, your journey as a spiritual person, your journey as a spiritually sensitive person, as perhaps a psychically aware person, your journey as a conscious being, your journey as a human. I believe that the runes are given to us by nature, by the gods themselves, to help inspire us and guide us on our path to becoming the best human beings we can be, which means to go beyond being just human, because most religions teach that humanity is created in the image of the gods. And that means we have a higher potential to awaken unto. So these are some of my thoughts as I'm preparing to teach the Rune Intro course. And I know maybe many of these thoughts are not what you'd even think of as intro. But the new course I'll be teaching is appropriate for anyone actually, who feels called to the runes. And that includes those of you who have no prior experience with the runes. As long as you feel the call, the interest, you hear that song, the rune song singing to you, then that is good. And the course is also appropriate for those of you who are more experienced with rune reading, but would like to learn more about engaging with the runes energetically for your spiritual growth, and also magically. And I didn't mention that earlier, but one of the things that I'd like to touch on in this course that I really haven't been able to touch on much in any of my other courses. There simply hasn't been time, okay? When you're focused on rune reading and learning the meanings in depth and learning how they interact with each other in reversals and sideways and all of that, you don't have time to go much into, the magical meaning. So I'd like to begin that journey, and I'm not saying we'll get it all done in this one course, but for example, I was listening to a friend tell me about her problems at work and this new software, and she's been doing her job for quite some time, years, and I don't really understand all of what her job is, but I know it involves numbers and accounting and inventorying and those kinds of things, keeping track of goods in and out and those kinds of things. And just this last year, they have brought in a new software for her to learn, and it's not an easy software. It's not intuitive, and she's struggling. She's a very intelligent woman, and she's struggling with learning the software. So as she was talking to me, I thought, wow, she should meditate upon the On Zeus rune. Do you know which rune I'm talking about? That would be rune number 4, I believe, On Zeus. The Odin rune, the rune of communication, because On Zeus is a good rune to meditate upon, to chant, to utilize in magic, to open the mind to learning. And truly, simply, by just meditating on the rune, this is a rune I use to help me with learning a foreign language. Truly, just by visualizing that rune or tuning with its energy somehow, that will enhance your ability to learn and to learn quickly. Now, there are other runes we could use together with that. We could use Kanaz, which would be number, I don't know if that's number 6. Now I have to count it out. Well, let's see if On Zeus is number 4. Yeah, yes, Kanaz would be number 6. Or is it like this? The torch rune, which is also the rune of gathering up knowledge. Now, if it was something we want to go really deeper with, like if you were studying the runes, and have you thought of that? If you're studying the runes, there are certain runes you can actually meditate upon and work with magically to help you with that. And the first one would be On Zeus, that I just mentioned. But then if I were studying the runes, and which I am a lifelong student of the runes, but if I were looking for, new ideas for helping me with that, then I wouldn't just use On Zeus. I would also work with Berkano down in the third eight, and that would be... well, I think she's just Berkano. I call her a she because she's the birch goddess. Not all the runes are gendered, but some are. So Berkano is number 18, I believe, or something like that. That's the one that looks like the V, like a geometric V. And she has associations with Frigga, who was the keeper of secrets, is the keeper of secrets in Northern mythology, the holder of silence. So we might meditate on Berkano, depending on how you say it, or some call it Berkanaz. We'll meditate on her to help go in deep to something, to the secret part of it. Especially good for studying divination systems. And then you might also meditate upon Perthro, up there in the second eight for this, because, that is a fateful rune, the keeper, well, not the keeper of fate, that would be Frigga, but Perthro represents the fate itself up there in the second eight. So these are just some ideas, some things that I might want to touch upon, and I've got, a whole list in my mind of different magical runes that I want to share based on my own experience. But what I'm feeling we'll do is wait and see who gets in our course and what your needs are, and those will be the magical runes that we focus on. I think everybody will want to know about protection. Most people working with the runes know that you can use Thurisaz for protection. The Thuris rune, number 3. So that's, I don't know, maybe it's not widely known. I tend to think it's widely known, but that's a good rune for certain kinds of protections. But there are other kinds. Actually, the Berkanaz rune, the Berkano, is a much more encompassing protection, I find, than the Thurisaz rune. And maybe I'll talk about that some in the classes and why that is. But, put simply, there is no greater love, no fiercer protection than the love of the mother. Not even Thor himself can equal the love of the mother. But that being said, the third Saz rune is really powerful to apply magically and meditatively for, I think, protection when you're dealing with specific scenarios, especially if there are people in your life that are psychologically threatening. So that's one that you can use. And we can use these runes for cleansing. For example, we could use Laguz for cleansing, and that's down on the third eight again. Maybe it kind of depends on the type of cleansing, but Laguz is a good cleansing, a good healing. Burkano, that I've already mentioned, is a good healing. Again, it might depend on the type of healing, that one is seeking. And of course, Uruz up there in the first aid is really good for when we want to increase health and vitality, to meditate upon that. And I know I've used that one quite a bit in my own personal life. So anyway, you're invited to join me for the Rune Intro course if you'd like to do that. And this will be a journey into the journey of the runes. Not only will we talk about the magical aspects, but the journey of becoming through the runes, because as I see it, you can look at the big picture of the 3 eights, and each one of those representing a different level of your own personal soul development. And then also you can sort of divide the rune wheel. Imagine the whole wheel of the runes, and you're going to divide it in half with runes number 1 through 12, and then number 13 through 12, or excuse me, 1 through 12, and then 13 through 24. And that would be Fehu through Yera, and then starting again with Awaz all the way through Othala, or some people end on Dagaz. And I might talk about too how the cycle can end either way depending on whether you're reincarnating or not. Okay, depending on whether you're going to be reborn within this life or not. So those are some tidbits about what I'm planning to teach on in the upcoming course. And even if you're not joining us, I hope that something you heard today has sparked your passion, your kanaz, your kano. I hope that you can seek out the runes more, if indeed they are seeking you. Until next time, may the powers of the runes be with you. May they watch over you, guide you, and protect you on your beautiful life journey. Blessed be, and rune blessings.